America. This is JohnnyQuestGaming, and my man Slim Jim Longfoot. Just like to say welcome tonight. Thank you guys for coming out. So, I want to tell you guys a story, America. I want to tell you a story about what happened in my life, okay? It's a little weird. This show is all about nerds and things that happen to nerds and what nerds do. When it's nerdy, it's time to get dirty. That's right. So if you got any kids in the room at this moment, please let them leave. This show is not for kids. It's not. We do talk about a lot of kids stuff, but it's not for kids, okay? So even if you got sensitive ears, you might want to leave now because it's gonna get dirty. It's gonna get wild. It's gonna get crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna get crazy. But first of all, we're gonna get to the show. So I can tell you guys a story. That's right. Johnny's got a story to tell. All right, so guys, Dragon Ball Z, biggest anime of all time, possibly, made by Akira Toriyama, tells the story of Goku, an alien from another planet, crashed on Earth, world domination. But
y'all know the spiel.
He forgot it. So, just like in this day and age, that is like the biggest thing ever. When I was going to high school, when Slim and I was in high school, Slim Jim Longfoot can tell you Dragon Ball Z was still big. Only thing was, there wasn't as much anime around as easy it is now. So you just couldn't go to Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll, and just pull up.
None of that.
No, you couldn't do it. So the best way, you couldn't even go to Blockbuster back in the day and get this video. So it was one of those things where if you had it, you were the man. So this is where we bring my story. So at the time, had a few friends, we were kicking it. We were watching Dragon Ball Z. And we met this one dude. He was cool. He was new, transfer student, came in. It was cool, whatever. He hang out. He drew like us because Slim and I are both artists. But he drew, whatever. And one day he was like, hey, I got the Goku versus Broly movie. We're like, oh shit, Broly? Bring it over. Let's watch it. So he brings it over. He brings over his folders with drawings too. So we're watching the movie, watching his drawings, looking at his drawings, whatever. So my man has two folders, right? Two folders he's got. So the first folder, I'm going through it. Yeah, he got Dragon Ball Z characters, all the big swole, gigantic dudes, you know what I mean? Whatever. Then he had some chicks, hot chicks, whatever. So he had a second folder. The second folder should have a disclaimer. So I said, let me see what's in the second folder drawings. I mean, maybe he just didn't mean to show me that folder. So I get to this folder and I pop it open. And what do I see? A giant penis. A penis. Big swole, giant penis. And so I flip the page like, oh, gotta be a mistake. Go to the next page. It's another penis. It's another huge, veiny, muscular penis on a Dragon Ball Z dude. So I'm like, oh my God, this man is drawing dicks. Like he's drawing full-size, gargantua penises. Like, what is wrong with this man? Like, what is going on? So I'm just like freaking out. I'm just like, oh my God, what is this? So from that moment, I close the folder and I slide it back. Because you don't want to see some shit like that and then let everybody in the room know that you've seen some shit like that. Like, how do you even approach it? So I'm just looking at it like, okay, do I tell somebody? What do I say? You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking like, should I say something? This is what I'm gonna do. So he looks at me and he was like, yo, my favorite fight scene. And when he said something, I was like, penis. So he said, yeah, my favorite character is penis. And I was like, is he saying penises or am I hearing him say penises? What is this? So then my boy's sitting over here and eating some chips. And he get ready, and my man says, you want a chip? And he get ready to dick his hand in the chips. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna put penises in the chips. So I slapped the chip out of his hand, like, what the hell is he doing? Do not grab the chips. Don't eat the chips. So everybody's looking at me. So, America, I'm just gonna say, I felt sorry because, I overreacted after seeing the movie Superbad. I realized that apparently this is a condition where some boys draw penises. Not me. I have a condition where I draw boobies. I drew boobies in entire school, so maybe that's I still have the same disease, but apparently he has a penis disease where he likes to scribble veiny penises. Without further ado, America, welcome to the Nerd Strip Club.
First episode, baby, where we talk comics, hip-hop, gaming, and all things nerdy. So slide on in and shake your tail feathers to this combo, you dig? You got your man Johnny Quest Gaming right here. You know what I'm saying? Me, myself, Slim Jim Longfoot, a.k.a. the Goat King of America. You know what I'm saying? We make it do what it do up in this thing. We talking stuff from the 80s, baby, greatest decade ever. The 90s, and anything else in between. You feel me? From before that or after that, because it's some good stuff now. I'm gonna take it back. The greatest thing about right now in the 2020s is having access to everything from the 80s. That part. So that's all I can really say as far as that. Yeah, because this decade has started off kind of crazy so far, but not really, because if you're into pop culture, then you know where we're leading up to 2029. Skynet is going to take over. So,
So, with that being said, I mean, guys, it's still a pandemic. It's still a pandemic. Everybody is experiencing the wash your ass virus, and that's literally what it is. You should wash your ass if you want to be protected from this virus. Then that's what mainly should do. And I'm not making light of the subject at all, but that's pretty much what's going on. But during this time frame, during this pandemic, there's been a lot of things you're able to do. One of those things is to watch movies, read comics, play video games, and probably do some other stuff that you should be doing. But mainly the main thing that you can do right now, of course, is watch movies. So, guys, without further ado, we're going to talk about a couple of different shows that's come out during the pandemic that's been amazing. One in particular that we're going to start talking about. First, for me, as of course, coming off the Mandalorian series, you have a show that we call The Bad Batch, which was actually one of the shows created by David Filoni. If you don't know who Dave Filoni is, that man is the guy who created Ahsoka Tano. He is the guy behind the entire Clone Wars saga. He is a great storyteller, brilliant character developer, and he's brought us the Bad Batch. And what the Bad Batch is, it's a show about the clones during the Order 66. These guys had genetic mutations to increase their, skills in the battlefield, whatever. And those mutations caused them to be able to not react to what's going on in Order 66. Now, spoiler alert here. Basically what happens in Order 66, I know me watching all the Star Wars movies, especially watching Revenge of the Sith, whenever my man Rex turned on Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was like, what is that about? What is that? You dirty bastard! You raggedy bitch, you turned on Obi-Wan Kenobi. But the truth was the fact that they actually had a chip inside of their head that programmed them to automatically, whenever the Order 66 was invoked, to go ahead and take over and attack the Jedis. And the Bad Batch, however, due to their mutations and them being aka the Bad Batch, their chips didn't function as well. So now they're on the outside looking in, trying to figure out what's going on with this new empire that's rising up, with Palpatine coming on the screen telling everyone that I will take over. And we haven't seen Anakin Skywalker yet because he's Darth Vader. No, Padme. But no, so the show is following these tales, and they actually have a female clone, which I think is cool. Her name is Omega. The team is actually kind of following in the Ninja Turtle style, which I thought was pretty cool. You've got Hunter, which is the leader. You've got Rekka, which is the brawn of the group. You've got Tech, which is their Donatello. You've got Echo, which is the kind of off-kilter dude. He's actually more machine than man. And then the last character you got, which is Crosshair, which is kind of, in my imagination as a kid, I always imagined a fifth turtle with a black mask, and that's pretty much what he is. But other than that, the show's really good. I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to go with it. Congratulations, Dave Filoni, as well. He's actually become an executive producer for the Lucas Art, so that was pretty cool. But other than that, I think it's going to be really good. What's your thoughts, Luke?
Yo, first and foremost, shout outs to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau, who of course everybody know is the first guy to direct the movie from Marvel Studios, aka Iron Man, who also of course played Happy in the Iron Man series in the MCU. He is of course the creator of the series The Mandalorian, and him and Dave Filoni have definitely turned around the franchise after the dismal sequel series, the sequel trilogy, which we around here don't talk about. We don't talk about that. There is no sequel series in Bossy and Say. You feel me?
What is that?
None of that. And speaking of Bossy and Say, talking about that, Dave Filoni, before he came over to Lucasfilm, he was a part of the writers group of the series Avatar: The Last Airbender. He was on the first season doing writings for that series. They're doing book 1 of that legendary series right there. So Dave Filoni definitely, you know what I'm saying, is on point when it comes to, you know, everything he does. You know, he was a Star Wars fan growing up just like we were, and he, you know, made his way over to Lucasfilm and, you know, has basically put his stamp on everything from, of course, making the son of Ahsoka Tano and everything, Ahsoka Tano and everything else that he's been doing from that period on forth, from the mid 2000s up until now in 2021. So shout outs to Dave Filoni on all of that there. And the series is dope. Hunter, you know, who has that, you know, he's that classic leader mode, you know what I'm saying, with the bandana, you know what I'm saying, got the Rocky look, you know what I'm saying, you know, every guy with a bandana was cool back in the day, you feel me? And still to this day, every guy who rocks a bandana is cool, you know. So that's what it was right there. You can see Johnny Quest, he's holding up the Hunter figure right there, which, you know, hopefully, but, you know, something's going to eventually happen. Is a possibility, you know. So somebody from the Bad Batch could, you know what I'm saying, get cut off, you know, by the end of the season, but hopefully not. Hopefully not. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny that you say that, because I actually read an article where the composer of the Bad Batch said that the final episode that he composed music for him had him in tears. So now I'm just like, why would you say that? And second of all, who is it? Because if y'all killed the little girl, I'm gonna be really upset.
Right, there is a possibility Omega could go as well, and shout out to Omega. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like Johnny Quest said, you know, she is a important piece in, you know, the Bad Batch, as far as like them becoming more aware of their surroundings outside of, you know, what their duties always have been. You know, of course, being, you know, in this war that started between the Republic and the Separatists, which of course was, you know, financed by one guy. You know, both sides had the same leader, you know, unbeknownst to them, which was, you know, Chancellor, now the Emperor Palpatine,
not
aka Darth Sidious,
with Donald Trump. No, never mind.
Hey, we ain't even worried about the little T-Rex no more. You know what I'm saying? We got other problems to worry about outside of that dismal 4 years that we, of course, made it through. Thank God.
Let's just hope we just continue. But so besides that, Slim, another show in animation that has been all the buzz, what people are calling the Western Dragon Ball Z, is a little show we like to call Invincible. So what are your thoughts about that show?
Well, excuse me, y'all, I was trying to kill a bug. I don't like bugs. But with that being said, all right, my origins with Invincible starts off actually with this guy right here, JohnnyQuest1408, aka JohnnyQuestGaming. All right, now I heard of the series beforehand, like around the early 2000s, but I wasn't really buying comic books at that time because they were expensive, as Mark so eloquently said on episode 3 of the show. But yeah, I wasn't really feeling, you know, I wasn't really buying comic books at the time, you know, because A, they were expensive, and B, it wasn't really any capturing my attention like that, just like now, in a sense, as far as the corporate comic books. But when I got my first laptop, Johnny Quest Gaming, he had the first 11 issues of Invincible digital equipped with the laptop. And so I was like, okay, you know, I got the book, so I'm gonna go ahead and check out the series. Fell in love with it. And from 2011, the year that I first read Invincible, the first 11 issues in 2011, for the next 7 years up until the last issue that came out February 14th, 2018, I have been a fan of the series. Robert Kirkman, shout outs to him, the creator of the series, along with co-creator Corey Walker, who was the first artist of the series, and the guy who basically put his artistic stamp on the series for over 125 issues, Ryan Otley, who is a freaking phenomenal artist. I mean, actually, Johnny Quest and Ryan Otley kind of look alike, you know what I'm saying? They both got the beard, you know what I'm saying? Only one, you know, Ryan Otley is, of course, of the Caucasian persuasion, but they look like bros, though, a little bit. They kind of favor each other, actually, if you check out Otley, you know, and so with that being said, Invincible was a great freaking series, and we all was looking forward to seeing anything else that was going to develop with Invincible, from the movie that had been talked about for years, produced by Seth Rogen, and then now here we got this awesome animated series that premiered back in March, almost 2 months ago, and it has set the internet on fire in terms of just it's not just its brutality, but just great storytelling, because Invincible isn't just blood and guts. It is a great story that evolves from the typical comic book tropes that are going on, and you see everything that's going on. So shout outs to everybody who is involved in the show, from Steven Yeun, who has proven to be such a great voice actor after his great role as Glenn from The Walking Dead, which is based on a graphic novel, the comic book series also created by Robert Kirkman. Everyone else who has voice acted from The Walking Dead, who has lent their voices to Invincible in the first episode, in particular from the Guardians of the Globe. Also Zazie Beetz, who played on this awesome show that we, of course, were fans of, Atlanta, because we from the ATL, you feel me? So Zazie Beetz, also better known as Domino in Deadpool 2 now. And J.K. Simmons. What else can we say about J.K. Simmons? J.K. Simmons.
He's the
J.K.
man,
Simmons.
no doubt. He plays the perfect character, but I think the main thing is, like, the cartoon is more than just an adaptation. I mean, like I tell people all the time, it's like one of the first things that I've seen that the source material, it kind of outlives the source material. Because one thing I'm gonna tell y'all, if y'all haven't seen Invincible, it's not something that you go in with childhood gloves on. It's not. It's extremely violent. I mean, like, extremely violent. It's one of the things where you see the stuff in the comic. The comic is violent. Don't get me wrong. The comic is violent. It's a rated R comic. But the show is something completely different. Like, Omni-Man right now is breaking the internet with all the stuff that he's done. I mean, you see it in motion. It's a completely different animal from actually seeing it. And I think the pacing on the show is really good, the way they have it paced. With the episodes so far, it's having really good pacing. But all in all, the violence portion is what is just, like, amazing. And Slim's actually got a clip from one of the scenes where we call "Come On and Ride That Train." So give him a second to cue that up, and you guys can see why we call that "Come On and Ride That Train." Because Spider-Man, you did your thing with you holding down the train and stopping the train. That was cool. That was awesome. And you had Phil Lamar was like, "Let him do. We defend New York." Yeah. Wait till you see what Omni-Man had to say about that particular incident.
That part. Not at all, baby. Not at all.
Yeah.
I also shout out to Sandra Oh for her great voice acting performances on this show as well.
Yeah. So that is just a taste of what you see on Invincible. That little bit right there is just a little small portion of what happens in the world of Invincible. Let me tell you, it gets a lot worse than that. I mean, and the shout outs to them, because that's not in the comic. That's right. Just they're, like I said, exceeding what was actually shown on the TV show versus the comic. Like, these guys are not pulling any punches. Like, when I say they go all the way out, they go all the way out. And so for that, Invincible, you get my award, the effing insane. That's right. Effing insane. That's right. You get the effing insane award, guys, for putting out probably the most bad show on the internet. I mean, The Boys is one thing, but Invincible, whole another animal. And my camera, it wants to move instead of live. Stand still. Thank you. Yeah.
It probably is.
But besides Invincible, we've got great movies that's come out over this pandemic. We had the Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League, which was freaking phenomenal. Big ups to that. That is another thing that gets the effing insane award. After that, we had another few movies that came out. Mitchell's vs. Machines, animated movie, amazing.
That was great.
Love that one.
Great, yeah.
Mortal Kombat. I mean, besides the cake scene, no one else really cared. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is cool, but it really didn't do it for me. In the last movie, I'm gonna let Slim give you guys a run through of that one, was Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, which is a zombie flick directed by the legendary Zack Snyder, who also directed Dawn of the Dead. So, Slim, what was your take on that one?
All right, now my take with our Army of the Dead, first and foremost, have you seen that yet? Have you? Because you've been talking about it, but have you seen it yet?
I'm right here at the end. Right here at the end. So when you touch on it, don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it. Just give me a little bit.
All right, so this is just a quick little, tidbit as far as like what I thought about it. It was great. It was definitely a great movie. Now there were some instances in the movie where I was like, y'all should have been a little bit smarter. Y'all should have taken somebody out who was apparently not for the team. They was all about I, and there is no I in team. So with that being said, other than that, the movie was good. It was very good. I mean, the whole new situation regarding, zombies, the zombies were more like almost in a sense like vampires in the movie, because they had a different level as opposed to the regular quote unquote zombies that you seen in films. They were faster, they were stronger, they were more elite, and they had a hierarchy in a sense, and so that's what made that movie definitely a trip. And what was also cool about it was the fact that, I think society in a sense was a little bit more smarter in handling this whole situation, this outbreak, this situation that happened, because they didn't allow for it to go past where it originated from, where ground zero basically originated from. So they was a little bit smarter in that sense as far as society go, and their what they planned on doing. But just like in all things, when you hear about an outbreak or whatnot, there were, of course, they had even the naysayers in the movies that were talking about, oh, there's nothing going on there, blase. So that was cool to get an aspect of this actual world, with a zombie plague going on, and how it was planning on being stopped. And then you had, the other situation. But I don't want to spoil too much of it. But on my level, I would definitely, if it's a 5-star rating, I would definitely give it a solid 4 stars. I would definitely give it a solid 4 stars, straight up.
Speaking of the zombie genre, there's actually another show that came on Netflix. It's called The Last Kids on Earth, which the Earth, these kids are fighting zombies, but what happened is it's kind of like a hellmouth thing where all these portals to other dimensions opened up, and not only did most of the adults turn into zombies, the monsters and demons and stuff came out the portal, and so they're actually fighting those zombies and monsters and living in this world. The first episode pilot is about 70-80 minutes, but it's actually a really good show. It's pretty funny. I thought it was funny anyway. And then another movie that we actually caught, I think this movie actually debuted last year, was The Bronx versus the Vampires, which was, to me, a cult classic. It was hilarious because it had that Monster Squad type vibe. It had the Goonies, and it had Attack the Block vibes to it. And if you guys haven't seen Attack the Block, please go see that. Go see that today. Go out.
Where are y'all?
Watch it.
Shout out to Attack the Block. Attack the Block
Boyega
is this year 10 years old now. John Boyega, who everybody knows from the most pathetic Star Wars trilogy. This is the reason, this movie, Attack the Block, is the reason why we was excited to see John Boyega in the Star Wars franchise, because we knew how he got down in Attack the Block, and we was like, oh, if he's like Moses in here, then it's gonna be raw. And shout out to John Boyega for being like Moses in real life, because he really ain't giving no types of flying F's in regards of how he responded to the way they did his character, because his character was the definition of a simp in the Star Wars trilogy, like straight up. And it was just pathetic to see him in that type of role, and it was like, dang, like I know he was so excited to be a part of this franchise, and this is how they did him. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand the code of FN and them changing his name to Finn, because my dad, when he first saw episode 7 and saw the boy was named FN, he was like, "Oh, is that?" And I was like, "Yep." If you don't know, then you just need to educate yourself. It's like y'all really had to be that blatant, huh? Like, come on, who was behind it? You could have called that man XY02 something, or just something complete FN. Come on.
I don't think I would be offended if Kylo Ren was named Finn, because I mean, Kylo Ren has probably got to be the worst villain of all Star Wars history. I mean, I think like Jar Jar would have been a better villain than Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is like a goth kid that lives in a basement that picked up a lightsaber. He's horrible. I don't know what Kathleen Kennedy was thinking, but well, of course I know what she's thinking. She said, "I want to destroy the Star Wars franchise," is what she said. So
she is the true Palpatine.
She is the true Palpatine. She is. She's Palpatine's boobies, but I don't even know. Never mind. Take it back. She's not Palpatine with boobies. She's Palpatine because she has no boobies. So yeah, she's Palpatine all the way. Palpatine. She's horrible. Please. So, going away from that very sore note, we got stuff that's going on in comics. Recently, there's news that Bitterroot is going to be going into production, directed by the voice and very amazing actress Regina King is going to be taking on this title. If you guys haven't heard of Bitterroot, pretty much it's about a family of monster hunters in the early 1800s up into the early 1930s, and pretty much what they're doing is trying to save the world from a dimension of monsters trying to take over. So that is a really good series. It's going to be going animated. And the other one that I wrote, that I read actually, was Star Wars High Republic, which is a really good story that's talking about earlier Star Wars days where the Jedi were really prominent. So that's a really good series. And as far as indie comics, Slim has actually just checked out a new indie comics. And Slim, can you tell him about that?
Okay, now as far as indie comics go, shoot, man, it's quite a few that I've checked out, and let me think. I got to wrap my brain around it because I was actually pulling up a little quick snippet of Bitterroot for y'all. So shout outs to Regina King, for being a part of that series there. Like, I mean, what else can you really say about that situation? And let's see, the book that I just read was actually on Indie Comics Review episode 6, which you can see on my channel, Slim Jim Longfoot, here on YouTube. It is called the Bovine League, and it is pretty cool. It's basically about a team of anthropomorphic characters. They're all in the bovine nature, of course, cows and bulls, and it's a mixture world, where humans exist in the world too. And it was pretty good. It was a pretty good series. So if you want to check out more details about that, you can actually see me reading it online. Check out the Indie Comics Review series on my YouTube channel, and can find out more about that, as well as I plan on checking out older series as well, because not just all indie comics, because me and my bro right here, JohnnyQuest1408, we are indie comic creators as well. He being the creator of The Force, me myself being creator of Jelly Bean Dream, amongst other stuff that we have created that will be in the woodwork soon, y'all. So if you want to support the indie comics, support us, UGI Studios. That's what we co-founded almost a decade ago, Urban Guide Inc. Studios. We making it do what it do, trying to make, trying to give y'all something more. You just can't expect and beg Marvel and DC to give y'all some comic books. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Venture out into the world, baby. That's what you gotta do. And so I wanted to showcase independent comic books on that series as well. And shout outs to the creators of the Bovine League for making the awesome book. Shout outs to the other books that I've read as well. So hey, y'all be on the lookout for that. And once again, like I was saying, shout out to Regina King, because we go back to 1985 with her, you know what I'm saying, from 227 to Boys in the Hood to Poetic Justice to the Boondocks, you know what I'm saying, to, of course, her most awesome turn in Watchmen, the HBO series man. Watchmen. So like, yeah, she been doing that. She been doing that. She been on it, and everybody needs to acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? Give these awesome people their flowers while they still alive. You dig? So that's a definite on that too.
And speaking of flowers, you know, the controversial thing just recently happened with Falcon and Winter Soldier, where we got our Black Captain America on the air, which is a big step. And of course the announcement of the Black Superman, which, don't get me wrong, I think that it's cool that a black person or African American is able to take on these mantles. However, just like Slim and I talk about all the time, we wish that there were more independent characters or just newly, freshly created characters that actually have this lore that behind them. Like the Black Panther, it's just like whenever these characters take on these roles, like the Superman or Captain America or whoever, those are temporary mantles. They're not actually picking up their own stuff and taking it to the next level. So, you know, I wish that would be something that would happen, as opposed to us getting that temporary glory. But it's good for the kids to be able to say, okay, well, I could be Superman or I can be Captain America. I like that part, but I just wish that they had something that was original, that was their own lore, that they could take and be like, okay, man, I'm such and such and I'm such and that. But guys, you know what? Look for the indie comics, because there's actually some that's out there. One actually is done by a gentleman named Kevin Chapman, and his actually issue 10 is releasing today, of his character called the Afro Avenger. Another one is created by Robert Jeffrey, a comic book called Route 3. And of course, you got our comic, The Force, which features our hero, Incredible, as well as some other characters on there. And we also have a female superheroine called Spectacle. And that's just not a shameless plug. It's just that, guys, definitely when we come and we're getting to a point where we want our stories told and we want our voices heard, we've got to start promoting from within and taking it to the next level and investing in characters that we want to see go forward. Again, big shout outs to the premise and the achievement of becoming those characters and taking on those mantles. But again, guys, those are temporary mantles and they're not going to be full term. So what do you think, Slim?
I agree wholeheartedly with that. With it being said, you know, like, these characters, they're cool to see, you know, a black Captain America, you know, a black Spider-Man, you know, Miles Morales, having been around a decade now, created back in 2011 to replace Peter Parker, who was killed in the universe that they first came from, because they weren't originally in the 616 Marvel universe. They were in the Ultimate Comics Marvel universe. And then, of course, the character made his way over to the regular universe and combined and all that extra jazz. But with that being said, those are cool to have mantelpieces, but it's even better to have original characters, such as Static from the Milestone Comics. Like, he is an original character. Icon, who is also from Milestone Comics. Brother Man, you know, created by Daru. I can't pronounce my man's last name, but it begins with an A though. So with that being said, these are things that we want to see. We want to see more original creations from us, you know, not just, you know, hand-me-downs. We don't need hand-me-downs. We don't need to see a black Superman, as I said on one of my most recent videos. We don't need to see a black Clark Kent. Like, especially when you already have actual characters who are black, and, you know, black Superman in their worlds, in their perspective, multiverses, universes. Why would you even try to create, you know, make a black Clark Kent? Nobody wanted that. Nobody wants to see Clark Kent black. Nobody ever wanted to see him black. If you're going to do a Superman, you know, you already have characters established in other multiverses that are, you know, black Superman, as opposed to making Clark Kent black for some novelty. We are not a novelty act. We are not novelty items. We don't have to. You don't like that's like saying, hey, let's make Wolverine black. What? We don't need that. We don't need that. You can just go ahead and just if you want to make a guy who is like Wolverine, in a sense, make a guy who is like Wolverine, you know, a tough dude or whatever the case is, whatever, you know, piece that you know, as far as like, you know what I'm saying? What's the word I'm looking for, Johnny? As far as like, archetype. You don't have to have a Wolverine archetype. You don't have to have a Wolverine. I mean, you can make a Wolverine archetype. I mean, but it doesn't have to be Black Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we know the term that we used to say back in the day when it came to Black Wolverine. Just off the top of my head, talking about what his name would be. But it's like, you don't have to do that. Creativity is boundless. Creativity is infinite. So if you want to make a character that wears armor, or a character that is super strong, because Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, they don't have the plug on that. Like, you can make a daughter of Zeus, or you can make a daughter of Anansi, which is an African deity, or things of that nature. You can do so many things with the power of imagination and just bringing it together. That's all you got to do. Like, that's all you got to do, man.
And I just hope that it goes forward. I mean, I hope it does well as far as the way it pans out. But again, like you said, it's just got to be something we got to start doing our own thing, being more creative. And it's featuring, it's the last thing I want to say in comics. This week, I think, and next week or next week is going to be the first issue of the He-Man Revelation, which is going to be the spin-off comic or the introduction comic to the new Netflix series He-Man Revelation. If you guys haven't seen that, that's all over the internet right now. That is not a reboot. It is not a rewrite. It is a continuation from the 80s, baby. That's right, from the original He-Man. And it's coming on Netflix. So if you guys haven't heard about it, please check it out. I think it's going to be amazing. What was your thoughts when you saw that, Slim? Because I know me, I was just like, holy crap.
Well, you already know the vibes. Like, we first heard about Revelations coming out at least 2 years ago now. It's been about 2 years ago when, shout outs to Eddie Nunez, who is an awesome artist. We follow him on Instagram, and we've had great conversations with him. He's a fellow artist, and he is the guy who is behind the designs of Masters of the Universe Revelations. He's also done work on series such as the Netflix series Seis Manos, as well as the designs, the art direction and designs behind Streets of Rage 4, the latest entry of the classic legendary Streets of Rage series that was released last year. And so when we knew that he was working on it and didn't know what capacity, knew what capacity back then, because we keep up on that stuff. Shout outs to Kevin Smith, who said that it was going to be a continuation of the Masters of the Universe series from back in the day, the original one back in the 80s. And so with that being said, it was like, okay, cool. And when I saw the actual still shots, which was about a week or so ago, when I saw the actual still shots, I was like, okay, a tear came down my eye, and I was happy. I was just as excited as I was when they did the reboot back in 2002, almost 20 years ago now, which is crazy. How does time work like that? You feel me? And so,
and it's not going to
wow.
Adult Swim or Cartoon Network, so hopefully we can get the series to live out its longevity without being magically canceled one night. Just turn on the show, right. Oh, it's canceled. And what's in this replacement? American Dad.
Right. Yeah. That's not the move. I don't understand where you have some series that are just freaking great, and we know they are great, and they get canceled so suddenly, from the 02 He-Man series to, of course, the 2011 Thundercats to Symbiotic Titan. That's just not the move. You feel me? That is not the move whatsoever. That is not the move.
All those being canceled was just as bad as coming home one day and turn on the TV for Robotech's time slot only to find that Woody Woodpecker's in the place of it.
Man, what you saying when Robotech, which we was watching, on WVEU channel 69 down here in the ATL, it was coming on around, what was that, about 2:30 when it was coming on, and then I sat up one day getting ready to watch it, and wait, am I confusing that with that or Ronin Warriors? One of those shows. No, it was Robotech, and I believe the same thing happened with Ronin Warriors.
Same thing happened with Ronin Warriors.
But I know one of them, when I turned it on, and Pink Panther was on. Pink Panther's okay. I like Pink Panther, old Pink Panther, not the new Pink Panther. You know what I'm saying? And I turned to go in there and saw Pink Panther cartoon. I was like, what? What is going on?
Right. What?
And
what is that?
I was like, no, I don't want to see this. Where's my show? And never saw it again until the early days of YouTube, which was about a decade ago. Like when YouTube was still, pretty young. When they had the entire series, which I don't know if they have it now because I haven't looked at that channel in a minute. But they had the entire series of Robotech here on YouTube. They had the entire series of Robotech here on YouTube, as well as Gargoyles, which is another freaking legendary and great animated series. Like, for real. Like, it was like Disney wanted to grow up at that point, and it was like, wait, what is that? What is this?
Gargoyle said a curse word. They said damn on the episode, and I was like, oh, they cursed. They said it. And as a kid hearing that on the TV show or the cartoon, it was just like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe it just said it. And, I had already seen RoboCop, which was rated R, but that was just still a shock to hear him say something on the cartoon, but it was crazy.
Hey, the shock for me, well, not necessarily a shock for me, but just the I remember when it happened, when the guy, it was, back in the day in the early part of the first episode, when they were still in their time in the 10th century, and the guy tried to stabbed Goliath, and Goliath caught the sword, and he was squeezing the sword, and you saw the blood dripping out of his hand, and I was like, yo, they got blood here on the Disney cartoon? Okay. Y'all, okay, y'all trying to get grown with it. You know what I'm saying? They got 13, and I'm like, okay, like y'all trying to do something.
It definitely wasn't a Chip and Dale's moment, like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers moment at all. It was serious.
No, exactly. You know what I'm saying? We were seeing something for real there on Gargoyles. Shout out to everybody who's a part of that, whole situation right there. If you've never seen Gargoyles before, I mean, you need to go ahead and step your game up for real, though. That is a classic series right there. Shout out to the forever lovely Sally Richardson, who is still flying. Shout out to Keith David, who voiced Goliath, as well as Spawn later on in the late 90s on the HBO series. Yep. Keith David with his legendary voice. A
lot of y'all know him from ATL as Nunu's Pops. If you want to know what he looks like in person, he's Nunu's Pops. But guys, before we get out of here, we got a couple more things we want to touch base on. First is video games. A lot of good stuff's come out of video games. One that I've personally been playing a lot of is a game called Outriders, which is a third-person looter game. Takes place
Outriders.
Yeah, man, Outriders is a game, man. It not to give too much of it, but it's pretty much in like a dystopia future where you're pioneers landing on a planet trying to colonize it after the Earth is pretty much destroyed itself or blown up or whatever, and so you take on that planet. When you get there, there's a lot of surprises for you in store. The introduction is what kind of blows you away and gets you into the game. You're like, oh, I gotta play this, but it's really a game, guys. Check that out. As far as other games that's come out, we got Returnal, which is a game literally about to be able to progress forward, you have to die to come back to get to the next level. It's about an astronaut who crash lands on a weird planet, and from her death experiences, she's able to continue in the game. And this summer, we also got new games coming out. One that I'm looking forward to is Ratchet and Clank with his time travel adventures. Actually, one of the first true PlayStation 5 games that's being released, so really excited about that. And last, guys, music. Big shout outs to Nicki Minaj for her album. Well, it's not really say a new album, but it's a revamp of her album called Beam Me Up Scotty. Not to be, mistaken with Miss Scotty from Star Trek, but it's actually more about the producer. She's actually got 2 new tracks on there. One is pretty good with her, Wayne, and Drake. It's pretty awesome. So big ups to her. And Slim, you had heard the J.Cole album too as well.
Oh yeah, J.Cole album was freaking awesome. Just to reiterate on that Outriders real quick, shout outs to the developers of that game, one of them being Unreal Engine, who also created this most dope mobile game right here, which is called Dragon Roger. That's my character from the game right there, Eve Run. You know what I'm saying? Definitely go check that out. Johnny Quest Gaming also got me into this game as well. It's one of the most fantastic mobile games you can ever check out straight up. So definitely go check that out. If you want to play with us, we are on server 35, S35 Twilight. So go check us out on there. And regarding back to J.Cole, J.Cole came out with a monster album, The Off Season, which is freaking dope. One of my favorite tracks on the song is My Life. Of course, everybody, has been pushing 95 South, which is great because it got that southern sway to it, that southern, that, you know what I'm saying, that down south, dirty south type of thing with it. Lil Jon is on the joint. But My Life is one of my favorites, but the whole album is, banging. Shout outs to J. Cole for, sustaining and, being, in the game as long as he's been, shout outs to your young man making it do what it do, and keeping real hip hop alive. Now and that wasn't to imitate Bone, because Bone, we can actually hear their lyrics. Bone sounds great. But I'm talking about these other guys, but yeah, mommy. I'll be like, what?
Definitely not.
Get out of here.
A Bone. And speaking of great rappers, guys, previously it was the birthday of Notorious B.I.G., one of the greatest rappers I think of all time. So R.I.P. to him.
Right.
And to all the others that we've lost this year. Lost the tragic death of Paul Mooney, which was one of the funniest men in comedy. If you don't know him, you're probably familiar with his work, from like Richard Pryor to Dave Chappelle. One big skit of his was the Ask a Black Guy. So you guys are probably familiar with that, or if not that, Nigrodamus. So definitely, one of his famous phrases was, "Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga." So big shout outs to him on that, and rest in power to Paul Mooney and everybody else that we lost this year. So guys, without further ado, thank you for turning into the show. As always, it's our pleasure. We will continue to bring you new content as you continue to subscribe and listen. Again, hit that subscribe button. You've got your man Slim Jim Longfoot every day, 365 days of the year, is dropping new blogs for you, new art challenges, new reviews, you name it, he's got on the channel. And your boy Johnny Quest, most certainly, I do gaming, I'm streaming all the time. So guys, drop me a line, you know what I mean? Hit us up. We've got our one and only Cash Apps in there, so we always appreciate donations, help the show going. And guys, most importantly, watch the strip club, okay? Other than that, Slim, you got anything for him before we out?
Yo, rest in peace to the creator of Berserk, Kentaro. Shout out to him and all that he has put into his comic book, his manga, for the past 3 decades, from 1989 up until his death earlier this week. Great animated series based off of his book that was made back in the 90s as well. And just keep on doing what y'all do, man. Live life till you die. You know what I'm saying? Come on and jump on the pole one more time, for the next episode of the Nerd Strip Club, making it do what it do. We appreciate y'all for coming through. From Johnny Quest to myself,
it's the Nerd Strip
peace.
Club. Here we go.